This video is made possible thanks to my supporters, especially Drowsy Lemon and Clownkeeper. Thanks so much, everyone. Well, it's here. After over a decade of development, Minecraft has finally made its theatrical debut. Now, this movie's been in development for years. I think a majority of the time it was in development, most people were sure it just wasn't at all happening. I think it was initially supposed to release in 2019, and then was moved to sometime in 2022, and yeah, neither of those happened. Sometime in 2023, it was announced that the movie would begin filming, and whilst most were initially doubtful, a release date of April 4th, 2025 was announced a little bit beforehand, and it finally seemed like this movie was actually gonna come out. And I mean, as I said in my original Minecraft movie video from last year, the fact it was even releasing had me insanely skeptical. Flash forward to September 4th, 2024, and the first teaser for the Minecraft movie was released on YouTube. And like I said in my first video on the topic, people were not very happy about this film. The acting seemed awkward and over-exaggerated, the CG work looked poor, and some of the models and characters from the original game looked incredibly uncanny and strange. Sort of as if the people behind the movie didn't understand the source material and just went with whatever they thought would be best for marketing or the cheapest thing they could make without wasting any more of their already tight budget. And the biggest point of contention amongst fans, the fact that the movie was being shot in live action as opposed to it being animated, as was expected from Minecraft media. All of the promotional material for the game when showcasing things such as updates were animated, and Mojang even works alongside a studio who specialises in making Minecraft animations. It's safe to say that people were not looking forward to this movie, despite most of those people previously being in love with the idea of a movie based around the most popular video game in the world. But surprisingly, the first actual trailer released only 2 months later on November 19th, 2024. And that saw quite a few people who had previously spoken bad about the movie singing its praises. Most of the talk about a Minecraft movie online after the second trailer was incredibly positive, and a large majority of people were once again looking forward to seeing Minecraft on the big screen. And the more and more promotional material that came out for the movie, the more and more positivity I saw towards it. Sadly, I was not one of these people. All throughout the lead up to its release, I was incredibly negative whenever discussing the film. More negative than I was in my original video, if you can believe that. I was constantly saying how the movie looked horrible and was going to be a disaster with critics and fans despite still making a boatload of money. And I mean, surely that couldn't have been too unrealistic. To me, all of the trailers were still carried by the same issue that the first teaser did. The acting seems incredibly stilted and corny, and literally every single promotional material piece was just Jack Black exclaiming the name of some Minecraft thing that doesn't exist or works differently in the real world.
Minecraft is
creepers, flint and steel, ender pearls,
iron golems, elytra wingsuits,
endermen, chicken jockey.
Like, come on, you can't blame me for not having too much hope for the film. One of the trailers literally ended with a Minecraft villager being hit by a f***ing vehicle. Like, I literally cannot take this shit seriously. This had me absolutely laughing my ass off. This, paired with a bunch of leaks about the movie mentioning things like a B story where a literal human woman falls in love with a villager from the Minecraft world, just had me insanely worried for not only this movie, but the future of video game movies as a whole. Like, this is why we didn't get many video game movies for major franchises for such a long time. Movies like the original Super Mario Bros. Movie and Mortal Kombat movie set in people's minds that video games can't be turned into something worthy of appearing on the big screen and that it shouldn't be attempted. Thankfully, movies like the Super Mario Bros. Movie and the 3 Sonic movies, and hell, even something that was purely mediocre like the Uncharted movie, kinda set in people's minds that this stuff can happen and it can be, at the very least, alright. But the Minecraft movie just didn't really have the same spark of hope that even the most poorly put together video game TV shows and movies had, and it had me worrying that people wouldn't be interested in stuff like this anymore. Also, thankfully, now that the movie is out, it seems as if this isn't going to happen since most general audiences seem to have enjoyed watching Jack Black roam around the overworld and say the name of everything that appeared on screen for an hour and 40 minutes. The closer and closer we got to release, we had very little material that made me hopeful for this. The only piece of content I actively sat down and reacted positively to was Jack Black's song for the movie, which was randomly released early. Like, this song is genuinely really good. I sometimes completely forget that Jack Black is insanely good at making music, especially when he's on screen acting like a buffoon for an hour. Anyways, enough stalling, let's get into what I thought of a Minecraft movie. Now, let's get the biggest thing out of the way before we talk about anything else. This movie would have been better if it was animated. Now, of course, I'm not asking for the animation quality on the same level as something like Arcane. Side note, by the way, I watched through Arcane recently and it's amazing. Great series, totally recommend it. Don't recommend League of Legends though. Hell, I'm not even asking for something on the same level as the promotional material they have Element Animation make for updates and such. They literally could have made this movie in Minecraft like it's a Parkour Civilization sequel and people would have eaten things up. They genuinely could have had it look like Family Guy or even something like Invincible really, and it probably would have been way better, but just because it's live action doesn't necessarily mean it's awful. There are a couple of things they do here that I think look way better in live action than if they were animated, or at least feel better if it were. Does have its pros. Like, obviously there's parts of the film that take place in the real world, and I think quite a few of the sets, like Jason Momoa's game shop, are pretty nice, but should it have been totally animated? Yes, 100%. The CG work here is so incredibly mixed. Like, at some points it's great, but at other points it just looks so off. The final fight, for example, the piglins look really poorly animated, and it was so easy for me to tell that when the iron golems spawned in, that they all just had the exact same animation with no alterations or difference. And I also think the same issue with the lighting looking really ugly in the trailers persisted with the film itself. Like, there was this early version of the movie that got leaked a day or two before the actual film released, and the majority of the CG isn't really much different from the final. It's just a lot more unpolished and buggy. Dude, I can't believe they released a Bedrock edition of the movie as well. Now that's accuracy to the source material. One thing I was really shocked by is the fact they actually changed the scene that introduces Steve. Like, it's only the line delivery and his pose that changed, but it was really strange to me that of all the things to alter, it was that. Speaking of scenes, another issue that persisted from the trailers was the incredibly awkward and stilted acting. None of it felt believable. Even in the real world, it all just felt like the actors were reading the words from behind the camera. The writing was also very cheesy. Like, I never in a million years expected "Let's Minecraft" to be a real line in a $150 million movie. Genuinely, the first words spoken in this film are "the overworld." This movie literally starts with one of those "yup, that's me" scenarios. Like, dude, there was no effort to make this movie even remotely serious, and it caught me so off guard. Maybe that was obvious in the trailers, but I was expecting at least a little focus. Most of the scenes and lines in there had me literally shoving my head into my hands. Pretty sure I spent more time sighing and contemplating my life choices than actually watching it. The only times I actually laughed during the movie was when he said one of the funny lines he says from the trailer. You know.
Chicken jockey!
And
Flint and steel!
and you have your...
Coming in hot!
But other than that, it was pretty underwhelming for literally being a fantasy comedy. I genuinely don't even really like our main characters either. All of them are literally just the most generic people I've ever seen, and Jason Momoa's character is so incredibly unlikable. His whole gimmick is that he's rude and cocky and thinks everyone thinks he's an awesome gamer who everyone loves. He spends most of the movie with Henry and Steve, and I think he gets along well with Henry, even if I find it odd that he calls him Hank all the way through, starting from as soon as they get into the actual Minecraft bit of the movie. Like, I wonder if Henry's name was initially supposed to be Hank, and then they changed it later down the line after all of Jason's scenes were recorded. At first, I thought it was a little running gag, sort of like Garrett's Spanish-speaking thing, and then in the final battle I thought, okay, now he's gonna call him Henry. But no, he didn't. Like, literally during the end of the movie, he calls him Hank. Considering the character has no reaction to it, it really makes me wonder. Didn't really believe the bond he has with Henry towards the end either. Feels forced. I also don't really like how the only way they end up understanding how each other feel is because Jason Momoa says to Henry, "Oh man, I'm like a loser too, you know?" As if that's any kind of motivation to continue a team up. Henry himself, a little boring kid character who has big dreams but can never execute them due to being locked to a small scale. Like, his acting is fine, nothing against the kid, but he's written to be the most stereotypical bullied kid who gets embarrassed on his first day whilst trying to impress everyone. He had the opportunity to be a great character during the scene with the Enderman, where it shows these messed up versions of the other characters putting him down. It tried to lean into his insecurities, but we don't get enough of a glimpse into his personality or know enough about him for it to be even the slightest bit impactful. That's all the problem when you have a cast as large as this one. When you have a bunch of main characters who are supposed to represent different age groups and demographics in a movie that's only an hour and a half, you don't really have enough time to explore all these characters individually, leaving most of them pretty half-baked, which leads me wonderfully into our next main character. His sister Natalie is even more boring. She doesn't do anything. She's just a stock character. Could have replaced her with a cardboard cutout and it would have been more impactful. Again, this is nothing against any of the actors. They all did a great job, but the characters just written like big planks of wood. Haha, planks of wood. Like Fortnite. Dawn is probably the only non-Minecraft character who's even remotely interesting. She's a comic relief character, yes, but I think she's a pretty good one. She's consistently funny and isn't used enough to be tiresome. There's a huge contrast between Steve and Dawn. Both are comic relief characters, but by the end of the film, I'm sick of Steve, but I love Dawn. Jack Black, sadly, also isn't anyone interesting. He basically doesn't say what he did in all the trailers. It literally is just a full movie of him saying the names of Minecraft objects and creatures and other silly things in his whimsical manner. The main guys aren't interesting enough to carry the film. Like, if this was just a regular ass movie and wasn't linked to Minecraft, I don't think it would have been able to keep the audience entertained for a full 2 hours. Malgosha, the main villain, is literally infinite from Sonic Forces. Like, her backstory is that she was made fun of and that's why she's evil. It's a little more than that, I think. Like, I'm pretty sure someone who I presume to be her father discourages her from dancing, but that's literally it. That is her motivation for destroying the overworld. She was made fun of because of her dancing skills. Also, Jared Hess was not a good pick for General Chungus. Like, the voice is so unfitting. I understand that's kind of the point, but I'm sorry, it just doesn't fit someone who's supposed to be both a leader of an army and also a comic relief at the same time. Kind of fitting that they got the guy who directed Napoleon Dynamite to voice him, I suppose. Before the movie, I saw a review that said something like, "This isn't a movie, this is just a list of tropes," and you know what? That is quite possibly the most accurate descriptor I've ever heard for any movie. None of the scenes in this film have any kind of cohesion, a problem I thought was only going to be in the trailers. There are like a couple of scenes that have even the slightest bit of natural flow. Fight scene that leads into the infamous Steve introduction scene was really well done, but I think the rest of the scenes are just like, let's go to this location. Okay, we're done here, now let's go here. And it just feels like more of a tour of a museum than a cinema experience. Another review I saw was that the subplot of the film was literally just the story of the Lego movie and the Jumanji movie combined, and yeah, that's true. They carry a MacGuffin with them that the big bad guy wants and they get sucked into the video game world. Very accurate. The subplot too is just, what? Why does a divorced teacher fall in love with a villager from Minecraft? Like, what? And it gets worse too. Minor spoilers for the mid-credit stuff, where the villager somehow randomly learns to speak English and he's randomly British for some reason, and he literally asks the teacher to marry him and they kiss. I'm so sorry, but what the fuck? I put a sub emoji in my script. That's how bad this was. I put a crying emoji. The entire concept for the main plot though is just these people that know nothing of Minecraft get sucked into the world and have to use the MacGuffin to escape. Most basic plot for anything ever, but it worked, I guess. The movie seems to be doing pretty well. And it's just that, really. My takeaway from the film is that I didn't enjoy it, but I suppose I couldn't really expect any form of high art for this. Just because I didn't enjoy it doesn't mean someone else won't. Like, I personally believe they could have done so much better than what they did, and this movie totally does not do the game any kind of justice. Doesn't feel like Minecraft, but hey, guess that's just a me thing. There are parts in here for absolutely everyone, and I know that someone out there will have a good time with a Minecraft movie, but not me, sadly. I was never immersed. Like, dude, literally, as I was leaving, one of the cinema employees came up to me and my friend and was like, "That was pretty bad, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, that was atrocious." But again, we're seemingly alone on this. The fan scores for this on Rotten Tomatoes are really high. And also, this movie might not be great with critics, but it'll be a hit at the box office. Like, it's literally a movie on the most popular video game of all time. And so long as it makes a bunch of money, it'll get a sequel and be considered a success by WB. And so long as you have fun, does it really matter what anyone else thinks? No, but the one thing everyone can agree on is that Jack Black and Jason Momoa should have